Johnson, and this is focused on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmas, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Pokonjre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Yeah, focus on Liberia. For Liberia, Liberia. For Liberia, yeah. From Monday to Sunday. From Monday to Sunday. It's focus on Liberia. Talk about home affairs. Hey. In Diaspora. Current affairs. Reliable information. History. Talking about culture. Politics. Education. Entertainment. Business. Sports. Advertisement. Articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in. At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jack.
And I am Anthony Sierra Plus, and welcome to Friday Night Debate, a show dedicated to debating national issues. This time we are focusing on current issues happening in Liberia. We want to say, if you are joining us from any part of the world, welcome. Do us a favor, share the broadcast, for this is where we debate Liberia and the issues in a very serious way. We believe we are the best in the business, and we want you to be the judge. Seated and ready for this all-important debate is my good friend, Pastor St. Salif. Welcome. He is focused on Liberia's sustainable development coach. It's good to have you. How you doing?
Thank you, Anthony. I am doing wonderful. Good to be back on the show again tonight, and I'm looking forward to a great show debate tonight. I know it's going to be great because there's one thing I saw Mohammed Sharif joining and smiling for the first time, so I know it's going to be a great show with that smile that I saw. And all our folks in social media land, WhatsApp, YouTube, wherever you are, hey, tune in tonight and join the show.
Thank you. Pastor St. Salif there again is focused on Liberia Sustainable Development Coach. Sita is an educator. He is also a social and political commentator. Dr. Joe Williams is here. Dad, welcome to Friday Night Debate. How you doing, sir?
Thank you very much, Anthony. I'm happy to be here. Happy to lend my perspective to the conversation regarding Mama Liberia. And it's great to be in the company of these very illustrious saints.
We are happy to have you. Also seated is Comrade Mohammed Sharif from Waplo Institute, all the way from Chilipo, Kanwekan. He is focused on Liberia political analyst. Comrade, welcome. How you doing? How is the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection, they say?
It's great to be here. It's getting warmer now. It's been, even though we're in April, but we're still, it looks like we're still in winter, but it's getting warmer now.
When last you checked on your friend, President Trump?
Hopefully we'll get through these 4 years and see what direction America is going to take. It's a lot going on right now.
Definitely, and that is even an understatement to say a lot going on. Again, folks, we want to say thank you for joining us. Please share the broadcast. Now the issues on the menu for the debate tonight. Councillor Tiawon Gonglo of the Liberian People's Party, the poor man lawyer, they call him, is weighing in this Nimba County by-election. He accuses Vice President Jeremiah Kuhn of fomenting tribal politics in Nimba. The panelists are seated and we will debate the very topic. Also, the GSA, that is the General Services Agency of Liberia, launches a 400,000 United States renovation effort of the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf Ministerial Complex. They actually called a press conference in front of the ministerial complex to tell the people of Liberia that they are ready for business and they are going to pin the building. So a press conference in their judgment was necessary. The debaters are here and they will tell us whether it was even worth it or it was actually a waste of time. They didn't need to do this. Well, I'm here to moderate and maybe I'll participate in the debate. That's how I'm different from Dennis' job. Also on the menu, several government officials fined by the Liberian Anti-Corruption Commission for violating the Code of Ethics or the Code of Conduct law, to put it right, of Liberia. Now, LACC had invited them several times. Their lawyer made promises that, they will appear so and so time, and they never appear anyway. And so the LACC went to work and fined them 1,000 United States dollars for first violating the Code of Ethics, the Code of Conduct law, and also for refusing to appear for hearing when the ombudsman invited them to. So if you want to know more, what actually did they do? They've been accused of violating the laws of Liberia when it comes to campaign. They are appointed officials. The law forbade them from getting involved in active politics while they are still appointed, even using government property. This is what exactly they did, and I verified that, and they were seen campaigning, using government vehicles. The vice president in particular, he took a convoy there to campaign. And the LACC is saying this is not right. The newly political party on the block, headed by Chairman Musa Hassan Belete, the representative of Nimba County, he complained to the LACC, see what these people are doing, this is not right. Anyway, the debaters are here and they will weigh in and talking about the citizen movement for change. It's the new political party headed by Musa Hassan Belete. They are having something in the UK they call networking section in the diaspora. What are they up to? Is Musa up to something here? Is this political party having some juice here? They're trying to show some networking strategies here that will make it happen for them. The political analyst, he's here, he's smiling, and he can't wait to weigh in. But something caught my attention, gentlemen. I want us to start with that. There are some group of people in Nimba who felt that they have had enough, that they've been lied to so many times. And so they are threatening that they may now vote in this upcoming election. There where we will start the debate tonight, and let us watch the video.
Ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, having been crying on government for several developmental initiatives in our clan, for the past 25 years without achievement, we, the concerned citizens of the above-mentioned towns, have resolved to withdraw or stay away from all voting processes in the senatorial, by-election, and other elections in Nimba County and Liberia at large.
Comrade Sharif, you are a political analyst. The Congress there have started a debate. How profound they were, my friend. Talk to me. Do they have an argument yet? Should this be the debate we should be having?
Yeah, thank you, Anthony. Absolutely. This is something that I have called for. And, you know, the citizens need to debate these issues. Look, when I was a child in elementary school, we used to have to wait for hours and hours for our politicians, you know, just to show up. And, you know, within a few minutes when they show up, and they always show up late anyway. So when they show up late, and then, you know, after hours, mind you, we're out of school, and after hours and hours and hours waiting, you know, thirsty and maybe hungry and stuff like that. And they will come in late, and within a few minutes, they go away, see the superintendent, and then they're ready to go on their way. Few minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, they're gone. So what I'm saying is, year after year, we continue to honor these politicians. What do we get out of it? What do the citizens get out of it? Election after election, these politicians come around and campaign. After the campaign, when they're visiting these areas, tons and tons of people have to be, you know, mass mobilization. What do the people get out of it? They get nothing out of these, you know, year after year. You know, over 100 years later, they get nothing out of it. So this is a great debate to have. And the fact that these citizens have started this, people like us need to embrace these citizens for being so courageous to start this kind of movement, if you will. And this is a welcoming development.
Comrade, thank you. Pastor St. Salif, you heard them, they were very clear. They say, but what's the point of voting? Every year they come and tell us they will do this, they will do this. We have not seen any development. All of the promises broken. So it's better we don't vote, because we've been voting, we don't get anything. So what's the point of voting? Should there be the debate? You are muted there. You are muted there.
Sorry, thank you again for having me on the show. I think I watched that video and I thought it's a misguided decision. It's a missed opportunity. It's frivolous. It's nonsensical. Because whether they vote or not, Nimba is going to have a senator. It doesn't depend on them. They vote or not, Nimba will have a senator. It's the same foolishness people did here in America. They say, oh, we've been voting Democrat, we got nothing out of it. That's why we got Trump. That you sat out the election does not mean the election won't take place. If you don't vote, when you don't vote in an election, you are actually voting. Technically, when you don't vote, you are voting for somebody wrong to be there, because that your vote means something. So people sat out the election, millions of people sat out the election, and that's why we got Trump, and we see what's happening to the whole world. So that community that should vote, their vote can make a difference. Look at one of the candidates and throw your vote behind them, the lesser of the evils that are in the race, and throw your vote behind them, hoping. You got to keep voting, because if you don't vote, again, like I said, let me repeat myself, the election will still take place and somebody will still win. So it's not a win decision for you to say, oh, I will sit it out. When you sit it out, you're shooting yourself in the leg. So it's whoever counseled them to do that is foolish. You got to find one other person. Liberia been like that since 1822. I was looking at some other video and I'm like, what's the dividend for all the elections we've been having year after year after year. There's no development. The counties are underdeveloped. They are just cut off from me. Even Monrovia itself, that's supposed to be the capital, there's not even a village in some other African country. When you talk about amenities and other things that a city should have, Monrovia doesn't have it. So the country is like that. So should we say, oh, we're not voting for any other president? Look at what Boaka is doing. Should people have sat out the election? If people have sat out the election and say, you know, this election, whether we vote, nothing's going to happen, maybe Weah will have been in his second term. So you don't sit out the election. You find who could be the lesser of all the evils and get behind that one, because whether you vote or you don't vote, the election will still take place and somebody will still win. That's all that I'm saying. So that decision is immature, is misguided. I can never support that.
All right. I think we are having a debate here, Dad. I'm curious what your perspective is going to be, because it's obvious that Mr. Salih's argument here is, look, even though the bucket we're trying to fill it is leaking, let's keep putting water in it. Maybe the little dirt that in the water, one day will pile up at the bottom, and then we'll not have a leaking bucket. But how long can you continue? We can continue to do this. That's the citizens' argument, because they don't see any difference between voting and not voting. So they rather now waste their time in line just to arrive at the same place anyway. But I'm curious, what's your line of debate?
Well, my perspective is this. First of all, abstention, or the decision to abstain from an elections, without necessarily going through it, but just the mere pronouncement of an abstention by any community of voters registers a high level of disillusionment when it comes to electoral exercises and how elected officials have responded to the needs of the people. That's one. And so in and of itself, it's registration of a protest. Now, whether they go through that during the electoral process is another thing. It's one thing to announce it, it's another thing to go through it. And I quite agree with Mr. Salih that, yes, the value of expressing and registering that protest, that level of disillusionment is there. In our context, as it stands right now, one major contender in the race stands to lose as a result of that protest, and that's Sam Koga, because he's been there. He's the only elected of the two leading candidates. He's the only one who has been elected. Edith hasn't been elected. And so it's when you look a little deeper, it's more or less in Edith's favor that these guys are saying, we're tired with those of you who we've elected and you have not delivered. So if we have to vote, we might just be voting. I'm just adding the unspoken sentence to their line that we're going to abstain. But if we have to vote, we might vote for for the candidate who has not gone through elections before. And I'm just presupposing that. At the end of the day, you lose your voice by not voting. You lose your legitimacy as an elector who should be making the change. Your opportunity to effect change would have lost. You've lost it if you're not part of the process. Again, expressing your disillusionment, expressing your frustration with elected officials and their inabilities to deliver, and participating in the process, selecting and identifying one candidate behind whom you can support is the most rational, the most prudent decision any elector can make. To step aside, step out of the process, you're doing yourself a disfavor and the county a disfavor. Because like Mr. Salih said again, a senator is going to emerge out of this process, and you don't want a situation where you didn't vote and the candidate you don't want to see in office ends up in office. You would have done not just the county a disservice, but you've done yourself a disservice and the country a disservice. And so I think at the end of the day, they must view these elections as not just a Nimba County elections. No, it's beyond Nimba County. This is about the kind of representation we want in the legislature. And if the people of Nimba cannot step back beyond their challenges right now and say tribal or social, and say, listen, amongst the candidates and the pool we have, we think this one person is capable of delivering. Especially so that you've had one person in the race in the legislature now for over 12 years. You know, and I'm going to push this line because this platform is all that I have. There are many other platforms, but we have to inform our people. This is the opportunity you have available to you. You must use it wisely, and the way to use it wisely is to measure the achievements of the one who've been in office for 12 years as against the one who was in office for a year and 4 months, and see who's capable of delivering, and move behind the candidate that you feel most comfortable with. Whether that's money is spent in the process or not, what the NEC is doing in terms of supervising and policing the electoral landscape, you know, in terms of campaign finance and the breaches thereof, that's on the NEC. We'll take that up with the NEC beyond April 22nd. As it stands right now, and in response to your direct question, I think those who are protesting have a legitimate right to do so, but their best bet is to be a part of the process. Register your contentions, but be a part of the process. Don't stay out.
All right.
Oh, Anthony, yeah.
Salif,
yeah.
I come back to you, and I want to re-echo a line of debate Pastor Salif raised, that this lesser of two evils, I'm not a fan of that. For we have better choices. Always, I think. I may be wrong, but I think there are always better choices. But he's saying, look, take the lesser evil. Do we really need evil?
Yes, look, Anthony, we've heard this time and time and again, especially after the Civil War. We always talk about, well, let's go with the lesser of two evil. Where has that gotten us? I hope that these protesters, a lot of them would have thrown their weight around Samuel Koga. Samuel Koga is a deplorable candidate. He is a misogynist. He is a tribalist. And so I hope that these voters would have thrown their weight, would have thrown their vote to him. In that case, he is denied these votes. Look, I mean, people have not gained anything from voting for these same people who go into office as senators and representatives, senators for 9 years. You let a senator, it's like you're letting somebody for life. I hope that these protesters will begin a mass movement in Liberia to overthrow the Constitution. Keep in mind, I'm not saying the government, I'm saying the Constitution. So somebody will run with this and say, you know, he's advocating a coup against the government of the Republic. That's not what I'm saying. I'm a nationalist. I'm a patriot. I want this Constitution to be toppled. We need a new Constitution. We need a new political order, a constitutional order in Liberia, where we don't have this chaos in the legislature, where we don't have this, you know, subservient legislature to the president of the Republic of Liberia. I hope that this protest will begin a movement where, you know, the president will be held accountable. The members of the legislature who overpaid themselves, the executive who overpaid themselves, you know, so that they will be held accountable. Right now, you say, you know, when I talk about USAID funding, and they all cry about USAID funding when they have tens of millions of dollars where they're paying themselves. Billions of dollars is going through the window, and these people are crying about USAID, you know, little funding from USAID. And I said, stop crying. So I support this protest. If I were in Liberia, I would identify with these people, because you know what? They have gotten nothing. Anthony, I was a student. You mentioned my school in Waplo Institute. This was decades and decades and decades ago. You know what's there now? You know what's in Seaboken and Blackboken and all these places? Those creek. Decades and decades later, there's no bridge, no roads. What kind of leadership? What kind of leaders, political leaders, do that to their own people? These are wicked people. What kind of people deprive their own people in this manner? And every 4 years, every 9 years now, okay, every now and then you have an election. Once in a blue moon, oh, we're surprised. Oh my God, we're letting new people. Give me a break. Give me a break already. I'm tired with all these excesses already. I'm tired with all this corruption already. I'm tired with all these inequities already. Oh, let's vote for this, for the lesser of two evils. Taylor, we said that in 1997. 205, we said that in 2005. We're still saying that. The lesser of two evils. I don't like evils. Can we have some good people instead of evil? So commendation, hats off to these protesters. They are brave and great nationalists. They are Liberians that we should commend from this moment forward.
Thank you, comrade. And I'm going to participate in this debate as a moderate as well. And you people know me, that is my style. Look, let's get serious here. These citizens are right. Dr. Williams, your argument makes sense. But I think what makes most sense to me, given the experiences we had over the time, is the argument these citizens are making that, look, we will now vote. We know when we vote, we don't get anything. How long are we going to continue doing this? That, let's look at a school in Riverside here. I hope people can see the image. You see students sitting on the ground. We're talking about a country that has legislators. These people are represented by their lawmakers. These people are being served by a president. You want to tell me, president, out and in, have not heard about the school conditions in Riverside, in Grand Cru, and all over the place? All of you are aware, our current president, what he did recently. He got a bulletproof car. That is not the first one. When he thought of having expensive car, he got 2 bulletproof cars for him, for he and his vice president. And he added another one today. Think about it. Let him take 1 car money and put it in our school in Riverside. Those children will be treated as human beings. What future do you see from that classroom? It's like garbage in, garbage out. Why should they continue to vote for any such people? And then the statement of lesser of two evil. Why should we even be thinking about evil when we have good people? Why? How long are we going to be putting water in the bucket that is leaking and thinking that, magically somehow it will stop when the holes are big enough for the water to penetrate? We can't.
But Anthony,
look,
Anthony,
yeah,
Anthony, yeah. I don't mean to cut you off, but let's put some context to the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
One, what is our alternative in terms of good people? Who defines who good people are? In the context of the lesser of two evil, we're saying those
their performance determine who they are. What have they given you now?
Mr. Sharif,
let that go ahead. We can give you a minute to contact. Go ahead, Dan.
If that's the case, for the last 50, I would say go back to Toba's era, and Toba wasn't elected. But since Toba's time, we have not had leaders. If we're using your measure in terms of what leaders should and ought to be,
don't even go there. Don't even go there. Toba showed leadership. Toba built you houses.
But that's what I'm saying. We're agreeing then. I'm saying to you, since Toba, since Toba, we have not had one. So we should not have gone to elections. The people, in their wisdom, select those they believe are capable of giving them and providing for them the kind of leadership and the kind of development they want. One of the reasons people voted for Ambassador Boyka over George Weah was simply because a man who had been in that position in the hallways of politics for 40 years was capable of delivering. Here we have a situation where we're calling our decision into question. And that is how it's going to be until a different mode of leadership selection is developed. The one we have called democracy, that what democracy gives us. It gives us people who are tested only when they're in office. Yes, our electorate is woefully, war-bitten, frustrated, traumatized people. Their sense of reasoning in terms of leadership selection, identification and selection is problematic. You hear the songs people sing behind people from 1997. You heard some of the songs. Right? And that speaks to the wisdom of the electorate. Now, what is our job as the enlightened ones? Our job is to educate, and that's what we're doing here. We cannot say, for example, that the Constitution needs to be overhauled. We have a great Constitution. Does it need reform? Yes. Lots of aspects of our Constitution.
You have a bad Constitution.
It's a great document.
You have a terrible Constitution.
Commissioner, let him land.
No.
Please conclude your point so you can come in one at a time, please, gentlemen. Please. One at a time.
Democracy.
And so our democracy, the quality of our democracy is influenced in part by the quality of leaders we elect, but in to a large extent, yeah, in part, the Constitution itself, as people evolve, laws should evolve. Our laws have not evolved since 1985. And there is an urgent need to reform it. But in terms of the quality of people we bring into leadership, that's where the problem is. And so where are the good ones? How many of us are participating in these elections? Not many of us. We're doing the talking, but we're not participating. So those who are available and have the resources to participate are the ones there. And so when we look amongst the ones that are there, we say, hey, who's the lesser of the two evils? It's the most rational social decision.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I don't believe, listen, I don't believe in this thing now anymore when it comes to Liberian politics, the lesser of two evil. Can I have, the better of two men and women, people, individuals, the better candidate, not the lesser of two evils, which presupposes that these two people are evil already. So I got to pick the devil that's better. A devil cannot be better. The corrupt, the corrupt. What's that?
I say you've been dramatic. We're not saying
very dramatic.
No.
But that's on it.
No. But
let me come in.
I'm coming to the point. The point is you just said that we have a great Constitution. How can you say that? How can you say as a professor that or maybe a lecturer? How can a college lecturer? How can you say that Liberia has a great constitution when this constitution was influenced by a military junta? That this constitution that gives senators 9 years to sit there and die in office. How can you say this is a great constitution when they give the do-nothing legislators 6 years, House of Representatives, members of the House of Representatives, 9 years for the do-nothing people who sit up there in the Senate and siphon Liberian dollars, tens of millions of dollars. You're paying for their vehicles every 2 years. You're paying for their phone cars. You're paying for their houses. They live at home. I work for the government, sir. They don't pay my house. They don't pay for my house. They don't pay for my car. They don't pay for my gas here in the United States. This is the most powerful and wealthy country, arguably on earth today. But they don't pay for any of those things for me as a public employee. Small Liberia, they said they are poor, but they siphon all the money and put it into the public sector. They are stealing the Liberian people money. The public sector is where you go to get wealthy. The Liberian people, you and I, Dr. Williams and Pastor S.T. Sirleaf and others, we should be indignant and not to give grounds to these thieves and all these people that are robbing the Liberian nation state. I'm very surprised that I'm very surprised that you guys are holding to the status quo. I'm very indignant that this is going on.
I will jump in here.
Thank you, comrade. Yeah, Pastor Salif, go in here quickly.
Yeah, I think it's Mohammed Sharif is always like, let me use the word. He's just being dramatic, and he think when you are loud, then you're making sense. You're not making any sense. Sarato said that, brother. The thing is, the Constitution is not bad, and the Constitution is not the problem of Liberia. In the Constitution, the Constitution has provisions that say you should hold corrupt officials accountable. That we do not implement something does not make it bad. That you give instruction to people and they don't follow it does not mean your instruction was bad, that your instruction should be changed. The Constitution gives senator 9 years. If you have a good senator there for 9 years, he will do good things for 9 years. So it's not the Constitution. It's the person that is in it.
I can't listen to this no more.
One at a time, please.
You can't be filibustering like that, okay? So the Constitution is not the issue. The issue are the people that are trying to interpret or apply the Constitution. That's where there is application. It's not the Constitution. The Constitution gave us separation of powers. The Constitution set up the government. That's what Constitution does. It set up the government for the people. The Constitution has done its job. We, the people, now have to have the political will to apply the Constitution to the letter, to do what the Constitution says we should do. So the fault is not the Constitution, the fault is the application. Now, when it comes to the lesser of two evils, definitely show me the good people in the race. Because I know right now everybody will say, oh, either Gonglo, where we saw Darius DeLong. When Darius DeLong came along, it's the same thing people thought. Oh, he was not an evil, he's good man. He's made all the frivolous promises. Oh, he will do this for his salary. He will do this. After he stayed there 1-2 years, who is Darius DeLong today? Akaros Gray. For the 12 years Ellen was president, Akaros Gray stood his ground with CDC. He did all this thing. When he got into the house, what did he do? He did nothing. And I can continue on and on and on. George Weah, all the soccer player, he loves his country. He's a man of the poor people. The 6 years George Weah got there, what did he do for the common people? So it's not about, oh, we shouldn't use lesser of two evil. Lesser of two evil is an idiom that has become a cliche. It means the people in the race, either way you go, you will still get screwed, but take the one that will not screw you beyond. That's the meaning of lesser of two evils. Take the one that won't screw you beyond. So to sit out an election is foolish, is ill-advised. What you do, call the candidates in the race and try to broker. Let's say our community over the years we've been voting and voting, we got nothing. This race, if you want us to support you, we need this. Let's draw out a social contract between you and our community that if you get our vote, this is what you will do for us. And if you don't do it, this is what we're going to do. You can recall a senator if you have the number of signatories. So we will put you under pressure, will hold your feet to the fire. That's how you get what you do. You sit down and negotiate with the candidate before they get there. But when you say, I will sit out the election, what I am telling you, if they sit out the election, there will still be a senator. And that senator can also punish them that, okay, you didn't vote for me. Why should I do anything for your community?
Thank you, Pastor.
Finally, I'm coming. When you and Anthony say, oh, yeah, it's good, let them protest, let them not take part in the election because all over every year they're voting, that means you are going to say we should shut down elections because how many years we'll be having elections? There's no leadership. So are we going to say we should end all elections? No, we got to keep voting, but we have to vet the people that are going in and broker some social contracts with them that this is what we want if we can support you. It's not to set out the election. Nimba County will still have a senator.
Thank you. You get 1 minute and then we go to the other issue, please.
Yes, sir. You know what, Pastor? You cannot get my vote anymore. I don't care if you run for president. 5 years from now, 10 years,
I will still win.
You're not getting my vote, and you're not going to win. I can predict that on FOL. Okay. So you can forget the presidency. I mean, this is horrible. We have to be indignant by this kind of analysis. Very weak analysis about the Constitution is great. Says who? This Constitution was influenced by a military junta. The fact that you're talking about lesser of two evils, it means you're not satisfied with the candidates in the race, as Caleb Gonglo just said. So it's still evil. So you said lesser of two evil, then it's still evil. So what are we talking here? So the fact that
Mr. Sharif, Mr. Sharif,
Show us
you
the
work for the federal government.
Please
You work
stop
for the
the
federal
interruption.
government.
state government.
Gentlemen,
Sorry.
Gentlemen, please hold. Let me share that with you. Most of the people that watch our show, when I say I mean all of us, this is for us. One of the things they mention the most is that focus on that brochure, you see less interruption. It's mature. I want us to keep it that way. Let's exercise patience and so that my work can be easier. Comrade Sherry, please lay your thoughts there.
Yeah, so you know this is a horrible constitution, and as a result, you have people doing horrible things here in the great United States. You have every 4 years we have this frequency of election. What it does is that it's another way of holding your leaders accountable, your political leaders accountable, because they know every 4 years, and the members of the House of Representatives every 2 years, president every 4 years, they know that they're going to have to come back to the American people again. But you have a senator that's going to die in office. You sit there for 9 years. Like, what are they doing? So this constitution needs to be toppled. We need a new constitution, but these guys are incapable of reviewing this constitution. Where in the world you have never had an amendment to the constitution?
Thank you, comrade.
The Liberian people should be outraged by this kind of analysis. That,
Comrade, thank you. Yes, I'll say 1 minute. Thank you. Dr. Willen, I will give you a minute, and then we'll go to the other issue, please. Unmute, sir. Unmute.
Mr. Sharif, you know, works for a government that operates under a constitution that was set up by men who were slave owners. They propagated slavery across the world. And today, you operate under a constitution that still, in so many ways, is biased in favor of one group over the other. Is that constitution great? It is great. It has withstood the test of time. Ours is similar. What hasn't happened over time is that our constitution has not evolved with the changing times. We've gone through a national upheaval. We have not sat, Madam Salif attempted to, without commitment to the process. She attempted to provide some reform. George Weah came in. He attempted to. Our current president, at the State of the Nation address, talked about constitutional reform in passing. That speaks, it goes back to the quality of leaders that we've elected. Is the Constitution good? It is good. Is it the best? No, it's not the best. It's not the best. Like any law, laws evolve with time. Mr. Sharif, laws evolve with time.
All right, Dad.
And yeah, so I wanted to make that point to you.
All right, thank you. So Tiawan Gonglo is accusing our sitting Vice President Jeremiah Kung of fomenting tribal politics in the Nimba County Senatorial by-election. My first question is, if the tribal politics are indeed being stirred, is it a calculated move by the vice president, similar to his now demised political godfather, Prince Johnson, something that gave him the political dividend over the time? Or is this just a convenient way of scapegoating in a political rivalry so that there can be a victory at the end of the day for the side that he supports? And let me start with you, Pastor Salif.
That's a great question. First and foremost, I want us to know that all politics is local and politics is tribal. And that's what we call identity politics. You just heard Sharif say I lost his vote. So he doesn't identify with me anymore. It's all about identity politics. So in Nimba, we have two tribes.
Nimba, go ahead.
You got the Gios and you got the Manos. Okay. So Jeremiah Cohn, the VP, I think he's not an astute, just like his boss. Both of them are not astute politicians. They're not politically savvy. So they don't know what they are doing. What he should be doing if he wants his candidate to win is to increase the vote by convincing people and not trying to stir up a tribal sentiment, because that's not what you want. When you do that, you are going to end up splitting the vote that you actually want. You don't want to split the vote. You want to vote from every quarter. You want to vote from every community. You want to vote from every individual. So what do I do to amass the vote? That's what I will be doing. I won't be stirring up confusion, because when you stir up confusion, you are going to make people retreat to their corners. You're going to make communities retreat. Then you losing vote on that. So that's why I say he's not an astute politician, and they don't know what they are doing. I know he's trying to protect his ambition for 2029. That's why he wants maybe Koga in the seat, but that's not how you go about it. When we run a divided system, you're trying to bring more people. How do I win more people on my side? That is how. Then when if the question is how do I win more people on my side, then the only answer to that is I need to build bridges and not to just burn down bridges. So the VP is not building bridges, he's burning down bridges, and that's what makes it foolish, and that's what makes it evil. But politics is local, politics is identity, politics is tribal. So, but you want more people. The more people that vote, that's how for you. That's how you win, not the less of people. So you want to build bridges. And so that's what VP Cohn should be doing. If he wants his candidate to win, he got to start building bridges.
And commercially, one argument here is that, look, this man, Koga, is, Vice President Cohn is not selling his candidate based on his legislative accomplishment. He's only telling the people of Nimba to vote for Koga because of who he is in terms of his ethnicity. All right. And that the ethnic group he comes from is the largest. And so his people, should vote for him. And once that happens, he stands a chance to win. Now, that's one leg to it. You should also know that Kuhn, he has presidential interest. He is from the MDR. And now it's like Koga is the Unity Party candidate. Where is Unity Party in this race also? I want you to address that. You are a political analyst, so please make the thing simple for me.
So the vice president cannot speak of Koga's legislative achievement because Koga has no legislative achievement to speak of. So what is he going to talk about? The vice president has to talk about tribe. He has to whip up the maniacal ethnic centrism that's so prevalent, unfortunately, in Nimba County, and this is so embraced by a lot of Nimbayans who have not come out to condemn this kind of deplorable politics. I mean, this is like we're going back into the Stone Age or something closer to maybe the Civil War era. This is deplorable, and I don't hear a lot of condemnation. You heard St. Salif, apologize, making apologetic to this kind of nonsense, like politics is tribal. Why you say politics is tribal? Politics, no, maniacal ethnic centrism should be denounced in politics. I mean, the fact that Edith Gonglo is running for the Senate in Nimba County, this should be celebrated by everybody. This is a diverse pool. This should be commendable. A diverse pool is what is necessary at this point in time. But what is going to happen is, I will predict, Anthony, that Samuel Koga is going to win this election hands down because of the tribal sentiment that have been whipped that Pastor Salif is talking about. But you cannot embrace this. This is not how a campaign should be run. You heard Prophet, the so-called Prophet Key, what he's saying. And taxpayers' dollars are being used to transport these people around to whip up tribalism, to whip up misogyny. This should be condemned but good, decent Liberians. And that's why Tiawan Gonglo being one of the good and decent Liberian, never mind Liberian African, period. He is condemning this not because he sits us in the race, but because he's a good leader. He's an African. He's an African patriot, and that he's looking beyond tribe. He's looking beyond all of these misogyny and different things of that nature. So we all should follow that lead to condemn this. And ST, once again, why are you coming around this to make apology for this? Please withdraw this. I will give you. I will concede a minute of my time and wait for you to strike this off the record. Please do that. Please.
All right, let me bring in Dr. Williams. I see you laughing, and I want to add another thing Tiawan said. He said, look, the county was established way back, and there are other ethnicities that are here. It's not only Gyo and Manon people here. We got Crown people here. We got Bui people here. We have other tribes that came here and settled here. Some people consider the place as their home. This political subdivision is for all Liberians. To bring this thing up because you want to win an election is dangerous. Do you agree with Tiawan's assessment or interpretation of this politics that he classified as dangerous politics coming from the Koka and Kunsa here?
So here's what I will say. If you went across the country, again, I'm going to agree with Mr. Salif. If you went across the country, you went to Lofa, no amount of campaigning will be devoid of the mention of the Kisi, the Loma, the Bandi, and the other groups that exist in the county. If you went to Grand Jita, where you grew up, Mr. Sheriff, they will talk about the Barabo and the other people and the crimes, and that conversation will come up. It will crop up. Monserrato, yeah, it's a little different because it's the melting pot. Nimba County is the second most populous county in the country. The two largest ethnic groups in the county are the Gyos and the Panos. It is clear that Sam Koga's legislative credentials are empty. The vice president is aware. The vice president has a 2029 lens on, and to ensure, in his wisdom, to ensure that the grounds they're stable enough for him, he wants to bring on board as many allies as he can. Sam Koga happens to be that ally. As you remember, his last contest against Edith, the vice president won by 3,000 votes. And he won that by that margin with the help of Prince Johnson. Prince Johnson isn't in the race anymore. So the vice president has run out of trump cards for these elections. The only thing he can play with, which is a double-edged sword, is the whole politic of it is the Gio people thing, because we already have a mono man in. So let's give it to the Gio people. There's no sincerity behind that, because for those of us, I come from Grand Sense. And so someone would say, I got no fish to fry in the Gio Mana discourse, but we're talking Liberia. If I had to choose a candidate of the people in the race, of all of the evil in the race, Edith Gonglo is going to be that person, because I'm not just looking at representation for Nimba, I'm looking at representation for Liberia. For Liberia. More than that, you already have someone in the race who is currently serving in the legislature, whose pedigree, his achievements have nothing to show. So there's no brainer when it comes to that. It's no brainer. So the vice president is going to use whatever's in his arsenal, money from the coffers, ethnic divide, to ensure that Sam Koga, who hopefully can win and help to propel him to 2029. what the vice president isn't aware of is that if Sam Koga loses these elections, he will be on quicksand in Nimba, because these elections will determine not just his popularity in the county, but also tell the rest of the country his influence in his own county. And that's going to spill over to 2029 as well. And so it's a double-edged sword for the vice president.
And that I want you to comment on something you wanted to raise, slip your mind. The whole idea of United Party is behind Koga here. The president is supporting Koga here. The vice president is supporting Koga here. This is the very United Party government that is complaining of not having money. Now they are supporting a candidate who, should he win, they will have to be finding another money to conduct another election. In other words, United Party is telling us the best decision we can make now is to have election twice to fill a single seat. That will pay twice to elect or to fill a single seat, and that is a good decision. I want to hear your line of debate on that.
Anthony, for the last year and going down and a half, we've seen countless times where the decisions of the United Party government has not been strategic. Their decisions lack strategicness. Finding money to run a by-elections in Nimba and going back, if Koga should win, going back to hold elections in district number, I think it's 7 or 5. I'm not sure which he comes from, but one of those two, is going to pose a lot of enormous financial burden on the government. But it is the negative public relations that the government is accruing as a result of their participation in this process. They're similarly not cognizant of the negative public relations and how that's going to affect them going forward. With all of the negativity in the air, all of the bad publicity and public relations, by having the vice president go in and conducting business the way it's going, having Mo Ali and all these functionaries go in, there's already an issue of the code of conduct, the breach of the code of conduct, and nothing has been said. And we're talking respect for the rule of law. The Supreme Court is about to hand down her own decision. So there are too many complications. This government's taking on way too much, and succeeding very little. The government hasn't been able to show one light. And so the other conversation we're going to be talking about is the desperation to show. So we're going to paint a building for $400,000 and we're going to make this big launch, something we're supposed to already be doing. We're going to make a big show out of it because we want to show something. Because a lot of the decisions we've made so far haven't been strategic, and it's hurting the government. Unfortunately, the government is like one of those traumatized people in a relationship who can't see that their actions in the relationship is hurting themselves.
Thank you.
And they're pointing fingers somewhere else. Yeah.
Thank you, Dad. Pastor Salif, your take on this whole is there a good decision for the government to say, well, let's have 2 elections to fill a single seat in the midst of complaining about USA taking their money away and they're not even finding all the money they need. The RIA road is still, down there because no money.
It's a government of missed priority. They don't know what priority is. They want to go to the dictionary, but priority, in my simple definition I've been sharing with people around the world, is just what matters to you most. That's priority, what matters to you most. So the government does not know what matters to them most. I'm surprised that the road to the airport is where it's still at, and we'll get to that topic. I don't want to get ahead of myself with it. The ministerial complex. So let me not get ahead. Let me limit myself to Nimba County. So when we say politics is tribal,
okay.
All politics is local, all politics is tribal, is universally known. All that means is identity. If Mr. Sheriff now and me were to contest a presidential election, there's no way I will go to his township and they will prefer me over him. They won't do that. They will prefer him over me because he's their sons. If I had a wife that came from Mr. Salif district, of course, they will want to prefer their daughter too. So all politics is local. All politics is tribal. That's what we call identity politics. People are. It's not what you speak. It's who identifies with you, and that's your tribe in politics. Those who identify with you. So whatever the VP is doing, he's stirring up the negativity of identity politics. He should be building bridges. But to your concern, and this is the aspect. I still support that we have a great constitution. Does it need reform? Yes, aspects of the constitution. And this is one of the aspects that we should reform. If you are already a representative and you want to run for another position, you have to resign your previous position. So you cannot be representative and running for Senate. So if we reform that aspect, then we'll be having the two elections at the same time. That means Koga will have resigned his position as a representative for his district and then running for the senatorial seat. So we're running the two elections at the same time. If he wins the senatorial seat, he goes. If he loses, somebody else will win his seat as a representative. So he will be losing twice. And then you're spending only one money for the same election. And those are part of the corruption, but you still sit as a representative and then you are allowed to run for Senate. That's what's bringing the double spending, because after we're done with the senatorial race, if Koka wins, then we now have to go back again for another by-election to replace him as a representative. So those are the aspects of the Constitution that needs to be reviewed. If you are already a sitting representative or you already host a political position and you want to run for another one, you first have to resign that one. That's what little children do. And little children got food in their hand. You try to present another one to them. They first drop the one in their hand to take the other one. So you can't hold on to this one, then you still have to hold on to this one. That is the aspect. Those are some of the aspects of the area that we have to review and rectify. But that being said, the Nimba County people just have to make the right decision. Like my colleague said, definitely, Koka has no track record to run on. So what do they have to do? The VP can only stir up the political, the tribal sentiment, because there's nothing to run on. There's no record to say when this guy was representative, these are the great things he did, and when he becomes senator, he will do greater. There's nothing there to run on. So just keep stirring the confusion. So the more people confused, they don't know where to decide. And I will say to my Nimba brothers and sisters, don't be fooled. Don't let nobody fool you. Bring this candidate to book. Enter into some contracts with them. This is what we want. Are you going to do it? And find that candidate that will decide that, yes, when I get there, I will do X, Y, Z. If I don't do this, hold me accountable. But sitting out the election, it does not serve you. Because you will still be a senator.
Comrade Sheriff, you get a final word on this one, and especially on this having two separate elections now to fill a single seat. But this is one thing the VP said, as you know, his line of support for Koga. He said this man was a lawyer. He refused the $200,000 and the car that was promised him, and he supported the Unity Party 100%. He was very loyal. So there's about time he supported the President Bouaka now. So it is time to reward him for his loyalty, for his gratitude. The man demonstrated gratitude. So it's the time now to pay him back. That was the VP speaking. And talking about the car and the money, he's accusing Elif that Elif took money from CDC, and that's what he was trying to say. So he's saying the man has loyalty. Maybe we need loyalty to bring the goods home.
I agree with a lot of what SD said regarding these kinds of elections. Maybe
are you going to give him the vote that you took away from him?
No, he's not. He got a long way to go, man.
Go ahead,
man, don't treat me like this. I need you.
He's got a long way to go.
I got to work for it. I'll work for it.
You know, we used to have some people would say your home far away. You know. So anyway, he's right on a lot of this. I think that there should be an amendment where, you know, people who are running for other positions can resign. You know, they will have to resign their current position, you know, and then contest a higher position, like you're running for the Senate or you're running for the presidency, for example. So that's something maybe that needs to be considered. But in the grand scheme of things, your question to the vice president, if the vice president was even saying that he's been loyal to the Unity Party administration, this is a loyal individual. So the way he can contextualize that in a broader sense, instead of trivializing this, narrowing this to his own parochial interest, is to say he's been very loyal to the Unity Party. And so because of his loyalty to, the party and some of the things that we've done for your county, he's going to be loyal to the people of Nimba County. This is the way you build this kind of argument for someone who has no record. You try to build his record on the fly. He could say that. He could articulate that rather than saying, I told the damn people, I told Edith that leave this thing. And my person is there already. This is for damn people. I mean, this is a kind of, we're trying. So what I'm trying to say here and trying for people to do is to have a broad-based political coalition. He's not doing that. He has narrowed the gap so much. So this is about, the Gio people. This is your seat now. So Prince Johnson made it that way, and they're all leading in Prince Johnson's footsteps. Prince Johnson, we all know, was one of the most divisive, figure in modern Liberia. And so the vice president is walking right into that. And someone said, I think Dr. Williams said it right. The vice president is doing this for 2029 also. So keep in mind, Prophet Key even said it. If Koga wins this, the vice president is going to carry Nimba County. But, let's not kid ourselves. This election is almost in the bag now for Samuel Koga, I believe. He has the momentum and he has the money behind him. He's a terrible candidate, but guess what? It looks like the people, my compatriot from that part of the country, they love terrible people. They love terrible candidates. Who am I? What do I know? So he's going to win this election hands down. And then there you go. You have another person, in the Senate who's going to be there for 9 years doing nothing. And that's where we are as a country now.
Comrade, I used to be in the business of calling elections. I told myself I will not do that anymore. I will wait for the result because I have gotten my share of surprises. And so let us wait. But there's something I want to bring to you guys' attention. Then we'll go to the whole issue of having a press conference just to paint a building, right? So I also see that the women of Liberia are supporting Ile. There are a lot of Liberians who are even raising funds for her. So Ile is picking off, a coalition of support out there. The former president of Liberia, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, endorsed her. Joel Howard Taylor endorsed her. Prominent women in Liberia, they have endorsed her. Even prominent men have endorsed her. I think I smell, or not that I smell, I think I tasted an endorsement from Dr. Williams. Yeah, I think that was an endorsement. The point I'm making here is that is this similar or not close at all to what we saw with Darius DeLong? When people in the diaspora started raising funds and then they galvanized for him, and then he got elected, and then DeLong, who was, Dennis would say the proverbial light, turned to a complete darkness. We saw this also with Botokana. People galvanized for Botokana. People raised money. The matter, I think, went to court or something like that. And she prevailed at the end of the day. We have not heard a word from her. Despite all of the fight. So I'm saying this to say, with that kind of support that is picking up for Edith, if she's successful, I hope she will be able to live up to people's expectation, and I will leave it right there. Let's go to the next topic here, gentlemen. Time is fast spent. So the General Service Agency of Liberia was able to raise $400,000 United States dollars I understand it is the responsibility of the GSA to maintain government facilities. And so in the discharge of a duty now, it has called a press conference because it believed to have raised 400,000 and is about to begin the painting of the ministerial complex. So they called a press conference to inform the Liberian people that, you see, we got some money, we have some pin, and we're about to pin this building. My question is simple. Is this worth the time? Is this worth the publicity? Is it a good strategy? Do the Liberian people deserve to know that this building is about to be painted, given the significance of it? Or I don't know. But let me start with you, Dad. You go first. What do you make of this whole press conference, just to start painting this building?
Again, let me congratulate the Director General of the GSA. Like the entire government, there is a desperation to show to the people of Liberia that government is doing something. Should they bring it to the attention of the public? Yes, they should. And I say that to say our people are desperately ear open to hearing some positive news. Yeah, some positive news. As it is, as little as that is some public positive news. I think the government is imposing on itself a sense of duty as far as the GSA is concerned. There are lots of other things they can definitely do, like taking inventory of all government properties in all these government ministries. That will be a laudable, very laudable undertaking to inform the public that we've done an inventory of all government offices, and these are the things that government has. These are the cars, and so a full inventory would be a good thing to hear about. But painting and maintaining one of many buildings in the country just speaks to the level of desperation on the part of the government. It's unfortunate. Do the people need to hear? Yes, the people need to hear as much good news as we can hear coming out of the country, out of the government. I think they owe it to the people. How much publicity was put behind it and the resources utilized in the process is another conversation. But I think the people are desperate to hear some positive news. That is arguably some good news that government building has been painted. We're hoping it will transfer over to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and all these other public buildings. It will go to the legislature, we'll renovate that building, clean it up, so that when you walk in there, you're not holding your nose and passing, but people can, GSA needs to live out the full meaning of its responsibility.
So that would not be having a press conference anytime they're about to pin any of these buildings?
Again, these are desperate times. There are way too many negativity in the air about government. And so whatever positive news the government can put out there, let them continue to do so. At least to help to dilute the negativity in the air.
Right.
We're in trepidation next week. We're about to hear the Supreme Court. We don't know what's going to come out of that. Nimba County, there's a negativity going on right now. We don't know what those results will be like. And so, whatever little positive news we can hear, that'll be good. Hopefully, one road will be dedicated soon, by next week before the elections come out. So at least our hearts will be cool and we're able to overcome whatever news that's going to come out, sometime next week.
Thank you, Dad. Pastor Salih, the question is simple. They painting the building, they call a major press conference. Is that a good move to highlight something very impactful? Is it completely unnecessary and a waste of time and resources? Or is there other setting the bar so low, or this is sheer mediocrity? Because the press conference, they invite the journalists, they give them something to carry the story because this is big news for them. And so money being spent just to tell the people. I mean, someone can ask you, well, this is how it's done. Any news out there, if someone is paying to get the news across.
It's simple. I will call it one word: deceptive. It's
Okay.
very deceptive. Okay. We have the Information Act, how they call it, the Freedom of Information Act, where government can put anything for all of us to access. I don't think to paint a building we should have a public showing. It's just they're trying to show an uptick, and that's, I call it, it's a deceptive maneuver. If you want to be public, show us how you raise the money. That is more important. Where are the sources of this money? Tell us how you raise the money. Show us who you giving the contractor to paint the building, because that's why we set up government agency where people, Liberians, can favorably compete with one another, debate, bid for these contracts. Show us who you're giving the contractor. How was that firm that was selected to paint the building? How were they chosen? Show us how you bought the bulletproof, the armored vehicle for the president. Who was the contractor? How did he win that bid to be the one to bring it in? Well, there are so many things the government not telling us that we need to know. The yellow machine, show us how the contract was determined. What was the specification of this contract? How did this person win the bid to be the one to bring the yellow machine in? There's so many things they don't make public. You come here to give us low-hanging fruit like, oh, we're going to paint building. Now, there are some positive side to that, and the only positive side is if the GSA could raise 400,000, that is almost $500,000. That means this government has potential to raise money. You show us the classroom in Riverside. They got the potential to raise money for more pertinent issues than painting building. I come from the sustainable development background. One of my degrees is in operation management, and in operation management, we talk about quality control, total quality control. Okay, when was the building constructed that it already needs maintenance now? Because these things are being done inferiorly. Just like they built, Ellen built the University of Liberia in Fender. The same month those students moved in class, the tiles on the floor were being removed, the windows were all being bad because those were inferior materials that they used, okay, to build these things. When people construct buildings in the West or other countries, there are years that are attached to those buildings. When they build roads, they tell you this road is going to last 25, 30 years before we can start any maintenance on it. That's why they put in superior material quality, do complete total quality control. What was the quality control in that building? That building that was just dedicated right now, we're going to spend 400,000, $500,000 just for painting. You know how much $500,000 can do for public schools in Liberia, for hospitals in Liberia, that we're going to use to just spend on building? That's why they're doing press conference. It's deceptive. When schools in the rural area, children are still sitting on the floor. If the government can raise 400,000 to paint a building, they can raise $2 million to every road Ellen built, she built it 2 times. Because by the time she built the road to the rainy season, is destroyed. They got to go back to it because they use no quality material. Nothing was done to standard. And that is another aspect of corruption. So for me, my answer is deceptive. How many other things have they done press conference to come and tell us that they should do press conference to tell us about painting a building? It's nonsense.
Commander Salif, go ahead.
Yeah, ST, very good analysis right there. So,
Thank you, brother.
Thumbs up for that.
I'm winning you back small. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, you're halfway there now. Tell you that.
Okay, good.
So, yeah, I mean, look, you don't need a press conference for this. It's like, look, actually, it's like somebody's dedicating a market, right, somewhere in Carwood, and they're ready to call everybody and their brother, and the whole city is there, and they're cutting a ribbon to a building. Like, that's what you need to do anyway, right? I mean, why do we need press conference for these things? I don't get it, but you don't really need a press conference. You know what I'm thinking about? Like, there should be the Army Corps of Engineers that should now be deployed. And I don't know if they still have it, but you have to
They
involve.
do.
Okay, you have to now involve the military. You know, that's really a better use of our armed forces. You use your military corps of engineers to do some of these projects, right? You know, building bridges and, you know, maintenance, you know, road maintenance and all these different things where you would have gone out to get outside contractors. So Anthony, I don't think that an elaborate press conference was necessary for this. And I think that, you know, all of these things now, they should go beyond this, in fact, to do things in a better way, you know, from our, you know, engineering policy to our agriculture policy. These are things that need to be reformed to evolve with the 21st century.
Comrade, thank you. And I think you are point on there. We have so many buildings. Are you going to have press conference for each of them anytime you're ready to do some work? Of course, you're not going to do it, except because they are starting now, and so they are letting us know. And then let's look at the school Pastor Ashur earlier and Pastor Salif mentioned. And Pastor Salif also talked about priorities. I'm not happy with the condition of the building. Anytime I'm in Liberia, I'm there so many times because my friend works in that building, so I'm always there. You know, it is not the worst of the buildings or the public facility that we have in Liberia. The worst, I think, are the schools. So maybe the government should put focus on the schools. I mean, imagine how much, you know, 400,000 can do in Dr. Williams' grandsons, you know, to look at PG Waller and equip it and do all that. Or my Saston High School in Saston. I've shown pictures of the school when my brother President, I was president, have you know, presidential presidential press secretary Toby was here. I intentionally showed the pictures of the school nearly every episode of that show, and yet nothing was done by that brother. He left office. So it is about priority. But then let me allow you know, us to go to the next topic. I think this is a waste of time, but we needed to highlight that. You know, it's about setting priorities, right? Let's talk about this other issue of, you know, the LACC now, you know, through the office of the ombudsman, find some officials of government, more so because they have engaged in campaign activities in violations of the Code of Conduct Law of Liberia. And then they went further by even using the government vehicles to engage in campaign. The vice president is one person, but the individuals that are being fined, the Minister of Labor, I understand he is a lawyer. The Deputy Minister for Administration, Ministry of Presidential Affairs, she having to be, the last time I checked, she was an attorney at law. All right, that is Colonial Crowd Tuba. And some other officials engaged in campaign wearing party t-shirts, using government cars to go to campaign. And it was reported. The LACC reached out to them through the office of the ombudsman, invited them. They refused to appear. Their lawyers promised that they will appear, and they never appeared. To this day, they have not appeared. So I don't know where we're going with this. Maybe Dr. Woolen can help us here. They find the $1,000 being fined them is similar to the president suspending all of his officials because they didn't declare their assent. The next day they rushed there. And where is that? My simple question is this the best approach to holding these individuals accountable? Now you find them, they pay the money, and now what?
So we're basically, government's actions have tended to incentivize rather than deter people from breaking the rules. Too many times, for example, you've seen the president call on public officials to declare their assets, basically beg them to declare their assets, you know, suggesting that they, not him, had the power. I don't think someone mentioned, I think it was Sharif who mentioned earlier that the bar has been set really low. There seem to not be enough spunk or audacity on the part of this government to set standards that others can be held accountable by. And as a direct result, we see time and time again that people are going to break the rules, breach the rules with virtual impunity. What is $1,000 as against people breaking the rule, especially in a case like this? Could the ombudsman call the vice president to check? He should. He should. But can he do that? Will they do it? It's not for the society we have. It just might not work. And we don't have a presidency that's able to seek enforcement of these situations. And so it's a complex, disappointing situation. But that is where the country is at the current time. Can the institutions, are they strong enough to address this situation? A fine of, and I'll call it a selective fine of $1,000 makes very little difference. You know, do they go back to work before the fine is paid, or is the fine paid before you go back to work? A lot isn't spelled out. And so there's a lot the LACC can do, but do they have the wherewithal to do all that they want to do within the political landscape that we have, and the overreaching control that the president has? That's another problem as well.
Pastor Salif?
You know, again, I come back to, Liberia. We've got some very, very good laws on the books. The problem is implementation. There are no punitive measures taken against any government official that does something wrong. And so, like the Bible says, that foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but it is the rod of correction that drives it out. They said because punishment is not swiftly given, that the children of men are always set to do wrong. Where there's no punishment, you see, in the West, Americans are not better than Liberians. They're not better than any other person. They got the same behavior in them that we got in Africa. People break traffic light. People break the rules all the time. The only reason people don't break it is because of the punishment. That's why they don't do it. You will go to prison. When you go to prison, you could lose your house. You could lose your license. You could lose your family. There's so many things at stake. That's why people in America pretend to keep these laws, or else remove those punishments. America will turn to Africa. The problem with Africa is there's no punitive measure. You tell somebody pay $1,000. That $1,000 may not even come from his pocket. It's still coming from the ministry. And he pays it. It doesn't affect him in any way. They got rules. I go to Liberia, you see it's the government officials, while the ordinary people that voted for them are in the traffic, trying to get to work, trying to get to school. The government officials drive opposite lane. They drive opposite lane, and the police let them pass. If you, the ordinary person, try to do it, oh no, they will stop you and you will have problems. So if the people that are saddled with the responsibility to bring about stability and standard and reform the culture, if they themselves don't have it in themselves and there are no measures to hold them accountable, then these things will just keep happening from time to time. It is wrong. So that is the reason. It's not going to yield anything. It's not going to yield any effect. I bet you and I challenge us. Let an administration take over Liberia and start to imprison corrupt officials. I'm telling you, everybody will step back and say, no, I'm not going down this way. The problem, we lack the political will to do these things. And that's why I'm appealing to my brother Mohammed. If you support us, 2029, we get there. The Liberia you've been dreaming of, I will deliver that Liberia to you. I can tell you the truth.
Oh, man, Focus on Liberia is selling a bill. You're running a campaign ad, yeah? Our management concern will send you a bill. Somebody say, go ahead.
I like these guys on FOL, right? You got one once in a while, you got people coming here to run their presidential campaign for free advertisement. He just got free advertisement. Fania did the same thing on FOL. You give me a free advertisement, so
that was never show up in Liberia.
Right, that was a smart strategy right there, ST. So look. One of the things that I think that in addition to good laws is that you must have strong institutions, which is why I think that while this is minuscule, this is very symbolically important to me. I think that this kind of thing should continue. Who knows? Who knows? I mean, strengthen this kind of institution. Strengthen this kind of, actions by the LACC. And I want to point another thing out, which is, after the last election, I had a lot of commendation for the Elections Commission. The National Election Commission performed admirably during the last election cycle. The reason why I did that is because I also believe in institutions. Institutions like that have to play their role. So to have an efficient government, you need all these institutions to work. It's like the body, right? You need all parts of the human body to work, to function. If any part of the human body has some kind of deficiency, the entire body suffers. So even your finger, if there's a pain in your finger, you feel that all over your body, right? So Liberian institutions like the LACC, the National Election Commission, all these different institutions have to be able to function. So I think why this is a real small gesture, small way of holding people accountable. This is just a drop in the ocean. I do recognize that, but at the same time, I think it's the right move. They need to go far, though. They need to go far, 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 because there's a lot of people that have been left out. Just you mentioned the vice president, you mentioned all these other people that are getting away with it. I mean, a lot more people are getting away with this. So it's a step in the right direction, I think.
And comrade, if they are selective, then it will undermine, what a good effort, it was intended to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, you mentioned institutions. You will agree with me. Having institutions not just enough. We need men and women or institutions who will uphold
of integrity.
Institutions, were established to accomplish.
Yeah.
If you are the ombudsman, look at that thing, ombudsman. That name alone is so much power. All right. I'm going for the head of the president. I'm going for the head of the vice president, so that the honor man there will know that now, if this guy can go after the president, you have the law in your hands. All right. You are well placed to do. You're not taking the person's life away. You are doing a good thing for the country to uphold the law. You're trying to apply the law. You're trying to call everybody attention. Lord, this is what we need to do for our country to be better. And you can't take that shot. You're going beyond the small potato.
You know what that
is? President out. How are you going to accomplish anything?
You know what's going to happen then?
No.
You will be in history. We'll be talking about you on FOL. We'll be talking about you 20, 30 years from now. But then you'll lose your job right after that. I mean, we're still talking about Chair Chipo all these years later, right? What he did that day in his office when somebody related to the president came to bribe him, and Chair Chipo called a big press conference. He said, "You coming here to bribe me? You're a judge, and you bringing this woman into my office to bribe me?" And he brought the Minister of Information. He said, "Look at these people. This is why we don't go ahead. We don't go forward as a nation. I'm here to stop this." And he made a big deal. And 2 days later, the president was on his back. Like, they were removing him already from office, and they removed him, and he never worked in the government after that. And this is the unfortunate reality of Liberia. It's a sad, sad story. The Liberian story is very sad. People try to do their job, and right away, I mean, they are either disappeared or they lose that job and never again set foot in any other public office. It's a sad reality. And that's why I think that, Liberian government, our democratic system is so imperfect. And I almost, I would say it's rotten.
You know, I like that you went in the history books there of Chia Chipo. I heard that from you, and then there's many others, and I read a little bit, and that was profound.
Yeah.
But just yesterday, an assistant minister at the Ministry of Information, when Sarah Besler Yanti brought that Bukos scholarship, and she committed the president to that, embarrassed the president. The president went and launched what was indeed a Bukos a scholarship program that was intended to extort money from Liberians. It was not even a scholarship. The president was made to believe that this was a genuine deal. He launched it. The assistant minister for Ministry of Information said he did a research, so this is not real. What did they do to him? They asked him to resign. All right, he was suspended, and so he had to resign. The other day has been reported that the chairman of the party is asking him to apologize. He said, "No, I'm not going to do that." What are you talking about? So, I mean, you have a point there, but let's allow that to chime in the debate here. Dad, go ahead.
Well, at the end of the day, if I may, you cannot talk effective government without strong institutions. But strong institutions also go along with character individuals, like you alluded to.
Mm-hmm.
That takes us back to our initial conversation. Who are the good people? Who are the good people? Who are the good people? People become corrupted by the systems in which they allow themselves to be corrupted by the system in many instances. I know some of my colleagues who have served with distinction in offices and left with very colorful and embellished record. I served as Secretary General of the Liberian Football Association for going 3 years. I left because I come from a background where my parents, I come from I would call it a middle income family. And so the urge to want to acquire for myself and my family was never really there. It was always about service. It's always about service. A lot of the people you see today who've been caught in this dragnet come from backgrounds of deprivation, many. And there's this urge to want to compete and acquire so much in a very short period of time. Yeah. Not often do you see people of the background of socioeconomic mid-level backgrounds you see running into those situations. I'm not saying they don't happen. You don't see as many of them as those who want the wannabes. I want to be seen as this. I can build the biggest house. I can ride the best cars. There are people in society who cares very little about what car they ride, very little about what house they live in. It's all about service to society. And when you look back on a lot of the officials we had in the past, some of them are role models. My late stepfather, the late Serenius IV, served as Minister of Labor. Money was never an issue. Money was never an issue. He said, son, it's about service to country. And so until we have those kind of people going back in government, our own friend and older brother, Deacon Kala. Deacon was in a situation where he could have amassed resources for himself. He could have done that. And we still have some of those people around. And until we can get people of that nature going back into government and seeing government service as a privilege, not a right, and that public resources belong to the people, not to us, it's going to be difficult for us to wean ourselves away from this kind of. Unfortunately, when it comes to elected offices, we have the electorate sort of prefer, for pecuniary reasons, prefer, those people who use public resources to win them over. Unfortunately.
Anthony, if I'll come in just a second, because
go ahead.
George mentioned something. We go back to people, right? So yes, you go back to people, but Pastor ST mentioned also, he said, when you send people to jail, he said you will straighten them up. So now he's not talking about lesser of two evils there. He's talking about now you having strong laws that will hold people accountable, just like they hold me accountable here. I'm not an angel. I'm not an angel. So we have our own foibles. We're humans at the end of the day. So if we are allowed to just operate at our whims and caprices, we will be corrupt as well. We may be tempted to be corrupt. We may be tempted to do certain things. Okay, well, this is not too much. This is just, one realm of paper. I can just, this is nothing. It's costing your institution. That realm of paper, if 100 other employees took that away, that's costing your institution tens of thousands of dollars. You know what is done in America? There are rules against those things, and they're penalized. They're not penalized in Liberia. They're celebrated in Liberia. And that's the problem. That's the difference. So I think that although I agree that you need some people, ethical people, you also need laws to crack down on bad behavior. You need training to go along with that. We get trainings every single time. Every now and then we turn around, there's a training. People undergo these trainings here all the time, and you all can bear me witness. In Liberia, that's not the case. So there is a lot more to be done in Liberia. It starts with a strong law, which we don't have, and we need that.
No, I disagree with you. We do have laws. We do have laws. We do have strong laws. We lack leadership in policing and administering those laws, but we do have laws. There are good laws on the books.
Brother Sharif, I'm telling you, Liberia got some of the sound laws. The problem is the implementation. People lack the will. And the reason they lack the will is because they know tomorrow me too will be caught up in it, and I don't want people on my back. Brother Sharif, I'm telling you the truth. Liberia got some sound criminal laws. We got good laws on the books. The problem is nobody is willing to implement these laws. And it's because corruption is entrenched in our society and nobody wants to do anything about it. You won't know until you get in trouble and they start to throw the books at you in Liberia. Then you realize, wow, I didn't know these laws were there. They are there. People are just not policing the law. People are just not applying it because of corruption. Now, let me say it this way. The reason these other countries are great, America, the West, Europe, is not because of the government alone. In Liberia, the reason our system is so rotten is because government has become the sole employer. Government has become the sole money-making area. We have to build an efficient and thriving private sector. Brother Chevy, you agree with me? There are so many people in government who don't belong there. Some of these people will do better. Yeah, some of these people will do better in the private sector. But we don't have a private sector in Liberia. So the only employer is government. It's the only place people go to make money. There are people in Liberia now. If we have like pre-war Liberia, where we had the lamp coal, we had all these big companies, and people were making money. You ask some people go to government, they won't want to do it because it's a waste of time. Because you're going to put yourself there in the public, people, everybody, you on the news, people want to live quiet, private life and make money. But we don't have a private sector. So all these scoundrels, all these fools, they just run into government. It's a means of survival. And because they are there, they don't want to be held accountable. So nobody, like the scholarship scheme now, don't you think it hurts your role? The foreign minister should have been in trouble. But who got in trouble? The person who blew the whistle is the one that got in trouble. And there are laws to protect against retribution. So he was not supposed to be in trouble. The person who created the fraud is still in her office. The one who tried to expose the fraud is the one that is out. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
That's the sadness to it.
Yeah, indeed, it is sad. And Comrade Sharif, I had a conversation with, Councilor Cabinet General or Justice Cabinet General the other day. He said, but Anthony, do you know that the Liberian Constitution allowed those of you in the diaspora to vote every election year? Do you know that? There are provisions in the Liberian Constitution that allows our government to provide the incentives or the resources for us to vote right here in America, wherever we are. It's not happening because the leadership is not there. All right. So I agree. One of the laws in Liberia that I celebrate so much is the Code of Conduct law. All right. I mean, you are a public official, you are appointed. The law said, please do not campaign. If you don't campaign for Koga, I mean, if he's going to win, then people are still going to vote for him. Why should you disobey such a simple law? Don't use the government card. Samuel Twain and others did the same thing. He was finance minister. He was campaigning. He was he was even drunk. I still have the video. They did all that, disrespecting the very law when they are the one in the executive to be enforcing the laws. And then when that happened, the president does not do anything. The very Code of Conduct law we're talking about, they made some amendment to it that gave it teeth. The president, anyone violates this particular Code of Conduct, the president can decide to suspend the person, fire the person, deny the person of travel, deny the person of their salary. It's right there in the law. But where is the president on this? So if he is charged with the responsibility to enforce the law, then he's quiet, and those he appointed are selective because maybe it's grace pay, he's close to the president, or wow, is the vice president, he possibly going to be our next president, so I can't enforce the law. We're going nowhere, and that is the situation we are fixing. Gentlemen, let's go to the next issue.
Anthony, just before you go, 1 second, you raised something about, Cabinet General conversation with you about, voting, in the diaspora. Right now, EULA has a delegation of almost 40 people in Liberia, and one of the things that we'll be discussing will be out-of-country voting. That's what we've been really pushing for, and I hope we can have a show on that too, to discuss out-of-country voting.
I want the EULA people to come here. I'm a big critic of EULA. Your delegation has 7 people sending to Liberia. I want people to come clean. What is the budget? How much people spending on plane ticket? We could use that money on a school in Riverside, but that's for another day.
Okay, thank you.
That's for another day. Gentlemen, we have something here. And folks who are following, if you want to participate, I've been displaying the number. It's posted in Facebook live feed and also the YouTube live feed, 605-313-6004. Enter the code 791-403#, and then you will be given the opportunity to speak and participate in this ongoing debate here. We want to get your take as well. This is a serious debate. Well, the new party, under the leadership of its political leader, Musa Hassan Belete, is up to something. I think Musa is recognizing the power of the diaspora. So he launched his party in Liberia. They did some work. He's building structures. He said, that is not enough. I'm taking this party to Liberians outside of Liberia. My understanding is that they will come to the United States as well. Now, this in Manchester, the United States, our own man, Jerome Gilman, has been invited, and he's there. And he's part of the strategic section, all right, engaging Liberians in the United Kingdom, in the UK. And there is Musa Belete smiling. There is my friend, Sekou Kanan there. He's smiling. And then we have some more pictures here. As you can see, this is a working session. This is the, the logo of the Citizen Movement for Change. Our own man, Gerald Gilman there looking at his monitor. I don't know why he's reading there. They have some t-shirts too. The policy, you can't do it without t-shirt, they say. And this time around, it's yellow. They're talking gold. They're talking money here, I think so. All right. Here's another picture. You see all of them standing. There is Honorable Belete there at the end of the table there. Our own man, Jerome Gilman, right there also. And then here they are again. So is there something that let me read my question here for you people. Is the CMC move strategic and will it accrue political dividends? Or is this just a good or bastard that will go far or nowhere? Loaded question there. Let's start with the political analyst here. Analyze the things for us. Musa Belete, he has a new party. He said, look, I know the Liberians in the diaspora, they have power. I'm going to involve them in the process. I'm not going to call them. I'm going to walk to them. I want them to be part of this process. All right. What do you make of that?
I think it's a good thing. You meet people where they are, or where they're at in this situation. So short answer for me, it's a good thing. You asked another question. Is it going to yield political dividend, which is essentially the goal of all political parties? The objective is to win political power, and all the ideas that you put together so that you can begin to actualize those ideas on the national broader level. And as well as the international level. It's all about leadership, control of the national resources, and your vision and for the country. So in that sense, I think that they're up to a good start. This is a good start. You're engaging, people in the diaspora, not just the diaspora. They're going to be engaging, back home, which is critical. And I think that for a political party, it doesn't matter how you start. It matters how you are able to sustain over the various election cycles, year after year, how you've been able to sustain yourselves. And one of the ways to sustain yourself, one of the things that you have to be able to do to sustain yourself is to be liquid. You've seen political parties, go down the drain because, they've run out of resources. So this political party, I don't think they have that issue. Another way that political parties fade is dwindling membership. So what they're doing now is a form of mobilization where they're selling their ideas to the Liberian people with the objective of accumulating or gathering a membership. So that's a good idea, and I just want to say hats off to them.
And I think your analysis at this point on Musa Belete worked with the ANC. They collaborated for some time. One of the good things the ANC has been able to do all the time is raising funds. They have been able to raise a good amount of money, and they use the money to support the political party in Liberia. Musa Belete recognizing that, I said, look, I'm going to engage the Liberian in the diaspora. These are individuals who can afford $100, $200. We'll put our resources together, we'll be able to sustain this thing. More so, they contribute to their family back home. And so they have that influence. They can direct them in our direction, and then our membership will be increased. Yeah. So I would agree it's a good strategy, but whether or not that will be enough at the end of the day for him to cross the Jordan River is yet to be seen. But let you.
Go ahead. And one of the things that that he has been able to do on an individual level is to take development. I don't think he has this sort of like Prince Johnson will have a school somewhere, university, the proliferation of universities. One of the things that he has done is building infrastructure where he's at or where he's from, like a bridge. These kinds of things really appeal to me because I tell you guys this story all the time. Where I went to elementary school, I mean, these people still need bridges over there. It's not there. So when I see someone from another county doing this, I mean, it really, I mean, I don't care what what their political leanings are, or whatever. It really does appeal to me on behalf of the masses. So I'm happy on behalf of the masses. So the fact that he's doing that is a good thing. Maybe, this is something that, he can also sell to the Liberian people.
Thank you. Pastor Salif, good move.
It's a smart move. I will commend that. It's a smart move. Launching Liberia, go outside in the diaspora. That's where the influence is. So it's a smart move. But is it going to get him anywhere? No. Musa Belete is not going to get anything out of it. Anybody who is well-meaning Liberia and say, oh, we want to fix the system, I don't think Musa Belete is the person you want to call on to fix the system. It's like calling Nathaniel McGee or Samuel Tuet to say, come and be president. Musa Belete has a track record of corruption and embezzlement right from FIFA. When he was there representing Liberia, he did some things. Ellen, second term, especially, maybe in the first term, they did some things together, but her second term, I was not in Liberia completely for her first term. I was there towards the end, but the entire second term, I was around, and I saw what he and Ellen did. And when she sent him to the airport, how they tried to, sample money through Musa Belete's establishment. When LACC indicted Musa Belete, Ellen became a defense counsel instead of let the process play out. Musa Belete has been deceiving people. He was with Ellen. He did, stole enough money and kept for his future campaign, what he's doing today. He got behind Mills Jones when he saw Ellen was leaving, and you can quote me. This one is not hearsay, it's me, because I was one of those invited to Mill Jones' house when he was governor of Central Bank of Liberia. Musa Belete was the one. Say, I said it. He was the one with the money bag. The money that I received in Mill Jones' house came from Musa Belete's hand. He was the one dipping his hand in the bag, giving to all of us that came. After Mill Jones presented his platform, Musa Belete tried to push Mill Jones using to get money from Central Bank. The next thing, he's behind Cummins. Cummins could have been president. No, he chose to listen to Musa Belete. You can't be the path to the president for you, Cummins. You got to align with somebody. In the first time, Boaka and Weah ran right after Ellen. Cummins could have sided with one of them and go as VP and claim that nope, Musa Belete didn't want him stand on his own. This other election, Musa Belete again pushed Cummins. No, you can't, he stood. Now he used Cummins to get to the house. He tried to use his money influence in the house to gather some support. Now he got political party. I've been following his track record through the years. He's not going to get anything. He's corrupt. He's not a clean person when it comes to the Liberian political landscape. So yeah, he got some money that he has stolen. It's time to spend it. When the real election season starts to heat up, then, all the skeleton in his cover will bring them out. He's not going anywhere. So anybody sponsoring him, throwing money behind Musa Belete, you're putting it in a sack with hole. He's not going to get anything out of this. 2029, he's not going to be president. Musa Belete will not be president. But the move is smart. Launching Liberia, launch outside. That's where the people are. The people who raise the money, the people who influence their families back home, like you said, they are in the diaspora, and you can tap into those. But would that get him, according to your question, would that bring any dividend? No, he's not going to be president. I can tell you for sure.
Well, we will wait and see. And the last time Honorable Musa Hassan Belete was here, and all the charges against him, he was able to defend himself. I hope you were here.
Yeah, it's not to defend himself on TV. He should defend himself in the court of law. That's where we adjudicate cases.
The airport issue, the FIFA issue, and all other issues, Musa defended himself. And I just wanted to tell the audience too that Musa defended himself, and he said that all of the things that people have said about him are all lies. Musa's own words right here.
ST wasn't here, or he checked. He checked out of that meeting. Was ST here then?
No, I couldn't.
No. He didn't. He didn't participate in that show.
I regretted I couldn't make that show. I was engaged.
All right.
You should have, all the thing you was talking about this man now, you should have participated in.
I was engaged that period.
It's like, I mean, it's a bunch of hearsay, but I mean, let's keep
I'm telling you, mine is not hearsay. I say I was in Mel Jones' house. Musa Ability was the one carrying the money bag.
How much you got that day?
How much did it share with each of us? Gosh. That was not much money.
How much was so you are corrupt?
What?
You are corrupt then?
No, I'm not corrupt. I'm trying to remember how much you share with.
But you look at this man. So you accepted money.
I did.
The money was not.
No. I'm telling you on TV. Hold on. I'm telling you on TV. In the first place, no, let me tell you the story. In the first place, when my friends told me, "Hey, Musa want us to come to Mel Jones' house," I told them no, that I'm not going to do anything that got Musa in the mix. They convinced me, no, let's go and hear what they got to say. And so we went. And there are some prominent friends in Liberia. I'm not going to call their name or air. So when we went there, my first instinct was, I'm not going to take this money because I don't want this stigma. But then the conversation was, listen, this money is not Musa's money. It's not Mel Jones' money. This money is directly from the Central Bank of Liberia. So even if you refuse it, they will still distribute it other ways. I think it was $100 they were sharing to each person. I was there. Musa was the one who was there.
So you accepted this
money. Wow. Even the fact that even if it's coming from the central bank,
yes.
I don't know. I wanted you to have rejected the money.
No, right. I'm telling you that I did not reject it for the fact that
I appreciate the honesty, but I'm saying you should have done so.
Yeah, I should have. I'm telling you,
because you didn't believe in what they were doing. You never wanted to be part of it, so you shouldn't have taken any money, irrespective of whether the money was coming from them or not. And you said here that you knew the money was coming from the central bank.
From the central
bank.
Whether or
not they give it to you, they will have eaten the money anyway. So you want them to be part of those who eating the country's money for doing nothing.
My judgment at the time might have been poor, and I concede. My judgment was poor, but that was it. After I raised the resistance that we shouldn't take this money, and I was convinced by the other group that, listen, this is our country's money. They will still spend it. They will still use it. Whether you refuse it. So that
I appreciate the honesty.
It was a poor judgment. It was a poor judgment on my part.
I was 50% away with you. Now you move me away to 30% now. Please.
No. I have evolved.
Let's bring in Dr. Williams. Dr. Williams, go ahead, sir.
So, listen, like ST, I've had the opportunity of working, and I call that an opportunity of working with Musa. So I know Musa on a more personal note. We were both at the FAA. In fact, I contested the elections that brought Musa into the FAA as president. I was the sitting Secretary General when Musa contested and won. So as far as the FA and the football side, I know Musa from that side. I know Musa also from the IGNO days, his relationship with Emma Sawyer. And so throughout the years, if you've lived in Liberia and followed the politics, Musa's records are there. I was on the show with him on the night he appeared. And for me, it wasn't my place to indict him for anything. Musa is now a national leader, and is upon all Liberians to be a part of the process to evaluate and reassess the people we elect to office. I personally oppose Musa's intentions to be Speaker of the House, again, based on his background. On the show, Musa was asked the question, what Musa do we have now? Because frankly, I regardless of his past, I stand with Musa in terms of his position in the legislature and the legislative fight as it's ongoing. And so I stand with him. I think he's filled a gap that needed leadership. Yeah. And so he's played that role very well. Is he playing it ultimately for the good of the public or for himself? At this point, it doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that a leadership was required, with the Fonati and the Kun, And someone has stepped in to provide a level of stability in that fight. And so I respect him for that. As far as the CMC is concerned, I'm skeptical about where the CMC is heading. Now, Musa is doing some great things. Building bridges, doing the things he's doing in Nimba County is laudable. It's laudable. But Musa is up for a big fight. And that fight has begun by these elections in Nimba. The whole Guiomana and where the Mandingos sit, you know, in Nimba County has been brought to the fore. The vice president is in that process. Prophet Key, quote unquote, Prophet Key has amplified the need for that conversation to come to the fore. Who are the Mandingos in Nimba? That is a fight that has been ongoing, and this has brought that to a fight. But here's where I think Musa has lost his standing in Nimba. Musa should have been in the streets of Ganta and Sanikole and Tapata campaigning with his candidate. Musa has disappeared. Musa has chosen
Don't you think that is strategic, looking at the future? He doesn't want to get in this fight that is muddy. And
then he should not have gotten in it in the first place. He should not have gotten it in the first place.
He's playing it safe.
No. This is the same thing that continues to hurt, what's his name? Cummins. Mm-hmm. That's the exact thing that hurt Cummins. If you chose to put up a candidate and at the same time in the heat of the campaign, you pick up and go to London to go bring diasporans together to say you're setting up a party, he's already filled the party. He has already filled the CMC. They're going nowhere because people are going to always point back when in the middle of a campaign that would have been a determining factor, major factor as to where that party goes, and you turn around, pack your bag, go sit down in London, it tells me as a observer that the party ain't going nowhere, and that he saw failure, and so he left. So you can bring all the Gilmans together, bring all the Francine Genoese together. You're going to raise no money. You're going to raise no money.
But there's one thing Musa had, though. Hold on, that. I want that to be on the floor set. There's one thing Musa, I shouldn't say one thing. There's one of the things he has that I want to talk about is his ability to show the Liberian beginner can say tangibles. This man is building a bridge. He named the bridge, one of the bridges, I think so, the one he dedicated recently, Intia Gonglo's honor. Right. People can relate to it. My good friend Mohammed Sharif here, if one reason why he supported President Mbwaka, I think it will be because of roles. He coming from the southeast, and we know why. William, you from there, you know what our people have to deal with, right? Yes. And so, if there's one singular reason why he stood with the president for some time, it was because of the yellow machine. He said, I just want to see those machines on the road. No, all right. So Musa has that, and that is the thing. Let me end my premise here. That's the thing that Liberian people can relate to. Thomas Fowler, you can say, manipulating the budget, being on the ways, means, and that. At the end of the day, he's pointing to something and the people are relating to it. So go ahead.
So, I mean, the Thomas Fowler story is another story. We can point to that. But with the Musa thing, Musa is investing in public goods, the bridge. From what I hear and gather from him the other day, those are the kind of projects he's going to focus on, plant around the country. Mm-hmm. But let me tell you something about Liberians also. Do all of that. And Liberians will step back and say, for real? Because one thing I know about our population, people's records never go away. They never leave the table. For as long as it takes, your records will always stay on the table. Do Liberians trust Musa?
All right.
I mean, go back to the FA. Do a poll. Do they trust Musa?
All right.
You know, and so
He has
Musa
won.
up
He
there,
has
he has
won
an
an
uphill battle.
election.
He
He
won
just
an election, yes, in district number 7. Let's see, he should have tested his popularity in Nimba by the support to Blurian. He abandoned Blurian in the middle of the river.
he won in a district where you could say Madingos will be probably 1%, if that. So that was a big test. And one thing I want to point out is, you know, when you read the political tea leaves in this election, this is over. Regardless of what anyone says, Samuel Koga is going to win this election hands down. So when you look at that, there is no need. This is concession already. So you see him in London with the diaspora. This is a concession to the government's candidate, the government-sponsored candidate who has taxpayers' money behind him now, who's gathering storm all across Nimba County. You see the superintendent of Nimba County, who is a woman I thought was going to endorse Edith, but she's standing behind Samuel Koga. So this is over.
All right.
What am I doing campaigning for my candidate that's already going to lose massively?
At least you are standing with your candidate. At least. So are you saying, comrade, are you saying when Dennis steps up to say, I'm running in Sano County for superintendent because the people of Sano have not seen him physically, and your analysis tells you that, Dennis, you don't have a chance in front of, say, one number who was a superintendent before and or the CDC guy has CDC support, you're not going to stand with Dennis because he doesn't have a chance?
No, but there's no election for superintendent.
No, I'm
saying
if. Okay.
Yes.
If all of a sudden, you know, they decide, the legislature decide that, you know, they're now going to have superintendent election. Mm-hmm. So yes, I would stand with my comrade. You know, the way I read, the way I fight, okay, maybe some other people don't fight that way. Look, I am always for the most part, with the underdog. This is the thing. A lot of people.
That is saying that stand with the candidate his party put forth. He is the leader of the party. No. You don't leave a fallen soldier on the battlefront and turn your back and go on political merit making.
I'm just saying.
Barely 2 months after the pronouncement of the formation of the party.
This is your first candidate, so to speak.
You put up a candidate.
This is your first candidate.
Knowing that the candidate had no chance of winning. You put up a candidate.
This thing could be rescheduled. And this time you started and you put forth a candidate and you turn your back. This guy can disenchanted tomorrow and say, look, Mr. Political Leader, you left me in the middle of the river and you were all the way in UK.
So let me say
I hear you on this. Mm-hmm. I hear you on this. Mm-hmm. People usually, you know, politically speaking, have short-term memories on these kinds of issues. So this is going to fade away, especially
that's the hope. Is that the hope?
You don't want to put that record in your bank.
By the time you get to 2027, this is going to be a forgotten memory. Trust me.
All right.
You might see it. You might think so.
We have callers waiting.
Let me have 30 seconds on that.
Yeah, 30 seconds, please.
So what he has done is he's kind of shooting himself in the leg, because you make it difficult for people to trust you. What they would have done if you knew you did not have a formidable candidate that could win, the party should have abstained from putting a candidate for and endorse one of the candidates. It would have been more strategic, because now if you leave your candidate you threw in the race hanging, tomorrow if I wanted to join the CMC and to run for maybe representative somewhere, the first thing this guy will leave you hanging, just like he did to the other guy in Nimba. So the trust factor has been eroded to a degree. Now, something you mentioned that I wanted to tap into, you talk about the Mandingo population in the district that he won as representative. Now, I wouldn't have gone there, and I want everybody listening to me. I'm not tribalistic. I don't do any of that. But like Africa, today we have so many female presidents in Africa. Before, we did not have. Only 2 presidents, only 2 female were acting president before Ellen, one in 1993, I think one in 2005, and Ellen became the first female president in 2006. After that, so many female presidents. But before that, Africa was not ready for a female president. Today, America is crying out for a Jewish president. America is not ready for a Jewish president. America crying for a female president. They're not ready for it. That's why all the Jewish candidates from our God, they've been defeated. All the female president, Clinton and this recent Harris has been defeated because America is not ready. But that time is going to come. The same thing, and I don't want to sound tribalistic, it's another uphill climb for Musa. Along the road, in Liberia, down the line, we will have a Mandingo president. But do you think, given the Liberian political ecosystem and the Liberian landscape, do you think Liberia is ready for a Mandingo president? I don't see the data to show that Liberia is ready for a Mandingo president, and that will be one of the uphill climb for Musa Belete. So he has lots of challenges ahead of him.
All right, let's leave it there, and I think Liberians should get ready for a Mandingo president because they are equally Liberian.
Every Liberian is equally they can run for president.
Yeah. Let's go to the line here.
Maybe the first Mandingo president will be ST. Who knows?
Yeah, let's go to the line. And we have.
I don't think they might be ready for me as a Mandingo.
Hold on, gentlemen. Let's go to the line. We have the man James Lassa, who has been waiting. James, my friend, I'm sorry. We're enjoying the debate. Yes, sometimes you got to come to the debate, my friend. Kelebu Gonglo, please come by. Sorry you waited for a little while. James, go ahead. You are live.
Yeah, thank you, Anthony. Thank you. I want to say good evening to all. Look, I couldn't agree more with much of what S.T. Salih has said tonight. He seems to be the one who understands the game more than myself, I would think. He's right to say that Musa Belete is an intensely discredited individual in our country. And the record is all around. You don't need to make any effort to find it. Discredited, lawless, indicted. I mean, he just about everything that is bad for that country. So yes, it is wrong for anyone to ever think that we don't have good sons and daughters from every ethnic group, as much as from the Mandingo group. We got good Mandingo citizens. They will emerge one day and they will serve. It will not be the likes of Musa Belete or Amara Kone. That's not possible. Amara Kone who comes out to condemn Bouakai and will present a numerical, quantitative formula based on quota, which he feels that Bouakai should use to appoint officials of government that will account for representation of a given religious ethnic group. These guys are fake, and they are not going to have that day. A day will come when credible sons and daughters of Mandingo, the Mandingo ethnic group will emerge. We'll have them. Probably Miami will be one of them. Not Musa, not Amara. Those of us who are silent, we are there. We don't have the money. We have connection with our people. We'll be there to resist people like that. So I must stop on that count. Now, Sally was also right about the laws. We have good laws in our country. Every now and then people talk about amending the law, amending the constitution. We have good laws. Implement them. If, for example, Fonati Kofa is refusing, an overwhelming majority of his members have rejected him, and they probably been withdrawing. Somebody comes here to tell me we need to amend the law. No need to amend the law. When the speaker is removed by his members, he's supposed to be ejected. And he's supposed to respectfully and honorably leave. If he fails to do that, it's not a failure of the law. It's a failure of an individual or group of cronies. Like Fonati says, I'll just let it submit, but the show is great. Let me say good evening to my friend George Williams. In a long time. So thank you for the time.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Kelebu Gonglo, please come by. I really wanted to hear your take. You are a son of Nimba. We have debated the Nimba election. I would really, really love to hear your take. So Comrade Calabo, if you are still listening, please come by. Dad, I think you wanted to say something, and you got recognition from your friend here. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, James and I go way back from our days at the university. Yeah. Other than that, I lost my train of thought in regards to where we were just before. But it was the issue of Musa. All right. So we go back to whether or not Musa can redeem himself. One of our parting notes when he appeared on FOL was that we're gonna hold you your feet to the fire, and we're gonna, watch everything you do going forward, because there's still a lot of skepticism about his honesty in public service. We respect Musa. We think a lot of what he's doing now, since winning elections and moving into the House, he's shown leadership. I think I'm not a fan of Richard Kuhn. I don't think he deserves to be Speaker. And so anyone standing up against him will have my vote. And as such, my initial apprehensions about Musa running to be Speaker, I've had to, suppress that, just because I don't think Richard Kuhn represents what we need in our Speaker. Does Musa have it? I don't think so either. But I will, going back to borrowing on our term, the lesser of two evils, I will go to Musa and go to Richard Kuhn. And just because I think Richard Kuhn has shown poor leadership, poor sense of judgment, I think he's so immature for that position. He is as corrupt as everybody else around him, and if they're all corrupt individuals vying for the speakership, we'll have to make a choice. And so, but I think Musa have stood as a leader in the House. He's galvanized. He's wielded a lot of influence among his peers, and I think he can use it for the public good. Like I said to him, I'm committed to supporting him if I continue to see that he's positioning himself positively. And the minute I hear that Musa is involved in anything regarding graft, he loses my support. And that's where I stand on the Musa case.
Real quick, Anthony, I know Mohammed will want to jump in, but you see, I want us to be careful, George. This showing leadership, I want us to be careful. I'm a little critical about that. Is he actually showing leadership in the House, or he exploiting the crisis? I think
that was leadership. That was leadership is all about too.
Yeah, I'm coming. Musa has not shown leadership in the House. He got to the House. It took a while before the crisis started. Where was the leadership before the crisis? So what he's doing, he's cashing in on the crisis. He exploiting the crisis, using the crisis to propel himself, because we did not know that he was about to launch.
Don't you think he's filling in a void? Don't you think he's filling the void here?
Yeah, but that's why we call you exploiting the crisis. If this crisis wasn't there, we wouldn't have seen this.
But timing ST is also important. Could he try to project himself as a leader when he have Fonanti? All right, could he do that? I don't think it would be proper. He had to wait for a time where he will present himself. I think Musa had entertained this interest of putting himself forth, because even when he was running, I watched an interview that they asked him the question, and he said, "Look, I'm not harboring that, but I'm not leaving that. I'm not taking that off the table. When the situation presents itself, I'll go for it." He was honest about that. And now he saw this void, right? And he stepped in. I think I would not use the word exploit. I think I would use the word he's taking advantage of the.
That's the right word, Anthony. He's exploiting the crisis.
And this is the man. This is the man who was supporting Cohn. Initially, he was supporting Cohn, but he saw now at the onset, right? During the contest, he initially supported Cohn, but once he realized certain things, right, he dropped his ambition. But when this crisis came, which is a machination of the ruling administration, he made the right decision by supporting the legitimate speaker, Speaker Kofa. Speaker Kofa won. He won squarely. He won. And, you know, like in the case of Africa, we always, in certain democracies, okay, we will not accept defeat. And then we become rebellious to those who won. Ko never accepted his defeat. He was defeated. And now, because he never accepted, they plotted to overthrow the legitimate speaker. So those who are on Kon's side are rebels. So the fact that Musa is not on that side, he's on the right side to me. Anyone who's supporting Kofa in this instance is on the right side of the law. That's the way I see it.
Thank you.
True, and I agree with you, ST.
Yeah.
Leaders, great leaders exploit voids. Great leaders exploit void.
Yeah, so I agree with you. So I prefer you use that than to say he's showing leadership. He's not showing leadership. He's exploiting the crisis.
Well, we exploit crisis to show leadership. We exploit crisis to show leadership. What he's doing right now is holding the Speaker Kofa camp together.
Yeah.
He's using his resources and his network to hold it together.
Yes.
Because I'll be honest with you, but for Musa ability, Funati Kofa might have fallen.
Right.
Yeah. So his block is a critical part of the Funati Kofa block. So he's done that. He's shown leadership in that regard. At the end of the day, we will judge Musa not so much about his past, which will inform us in a lot, but we'll judge Musa based on what he does going forward. And so all eyes are open. He's building bridges. That's a way of helping to vindicate whatever negative records he has in the public. Don't mean he's going to wipe it out cleanly. It's going to stay there, but you know, the bridges he's going to build, whether it's in Sino or Kavala, you know, he's working to repair that image that the public has for him or about him. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. But you see, the legislature is in Sierra Leone, and let me let you guys know, my dad is originally from Sierra Leone, and we have a parable. When Roach is about to die, of all the places he can go high, he jumps in an oil bottle. Leadership can be a dangerous thing. It can be a dangerous thing. You tend to make decisions. You tend to be bedfellows with the orders of people. And this is for the image that Musa wants to create. I'm afraid, you know, his ambition might clash with his efforts to clean up his image.
Thank you.
And
That's exactly
his undoing.
That's exactly where you're bringing me. The simple litmus test.
Hold on, Pastor Saleh. You all know here, and that's your choice of word. I disagree with that choice of word because the word exploit, in my understanding, it carries a negative connotation compared to the positive if you weigh it, right? If you say that's my understanding of it, right? I think he's seizing a moment. He's seizing an opportunity. He sees a void and trying to fill it. Now, how it benefits him, it's a good thing that he's doing to fill that void. Now you have the rule of law caucus. Now we see that the house is divided on an issue, all right? And Funati needed a support to stand with him on grounds that he was not constitutionally removed. We needed to protect the sanctity of the Constitution. And he stood there. Now, if you use the word exploit, that's your choice of word. I'm just saying that is not the word I will use because I don't see the negativity in that.
Okay, sure. So what I'm trying to say is none of intentions are never known because they're subjective. Okay. So what intention four of us there have towards something, you're not going to know. So the litmus test, the simple litmus test for intentionality It's the simple question, what's in it for him? Okay, or what's in it for you? At the end of the day, if there's no strings attached, okay, then he's showing leadership. There's no strings attached. My country is at a crisis. We are at a crossroad. I'm doing this. There's no strings attached. There's no ulterior motive. That is leadership. But if the intentionality is I will exploit this void to propel myself because I'm intending to run for president, then you're exploiting the crisis. It's like America now, they say, oh, in the Middle East, there is something going on. Even though they're responsible, they send their naval vessel, they send their aircraft carrier, everything. It's because of the oil. They're not doing it because they love the people. You're exploiting the crisis. A man and a woman, the boyfriend, the girlfriend, they're in crisis. You be eyeing the girl. Now the crisis are come, you go there to say like, oh, I'm consoling the girl, because I think this guy treated her bad. At the end of the day, after 2 months, 2 of you are together. You exploited that crisis. You were doing it. There's a motive. There's an intentionality, and that's why the word exploit.
I think Musa got his eyes. Musa got his eyes.
He has his eyes on the presidency. He has his eyes on the presidency. And the speakership. And the speakership.
For now, in the immediate term. In the short term, I think he has his eyes on the speaker.
That is why he's exploiting the crisis.
Dr. Williams will bear me witness because he was emphatic when he said that, look, if we are given the opportunity, these things will not happen. Yes. All right. And he was clear on that. From the way he spoke, it is clear that should an opportunity present itself for a contest for the speaker, Musa will be one of the first person to.
So you agree with me? That's why he's doing what he's doing to secure his place. So that
there's nothing wrong with it, though. There's nothing wrong with it.
Nothing wrong. No, nothing wrong. No. Sherry, I'm not accusing him. There's nothing wrong. I'm not accusing him.
Like Anthony said, the way you're conveying this in a negative sense, I'm afraid. But there's nothing wrong with it. Politics is about, if I would borrow your term, it's about exploiting situations. I mean, Barack Obama went to Massachusetts, deliver a speech, and it was a brilliant speech at the Democratic Convention. And that was almost, you could say that launched him on the national stage.
That set the stage for the presidency for him.
So those of us on FOL, I mean, people are already exploiting their appearance on FOL to market themselves elsewhere, right? This is already happening.
Yaron Gilman, who is in UK right now, chilling with Musa.
Don't tell Elvis that, right?
That's what we're talking about, intentionality.
So yeah, but Anthony, in intellectual environments, the word exploitation, yes, carries a negative connotation. And in all that we've said so far, yes, there are components of it that are negative.
The other side, not negative.
It
means it's taking advantage of the crisis.
It's simply taking advantage of a situation.
That's all. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's all he's doing.
That's
all Musa is doing.
Gentlemen, excellent debate. We represented Liberia here. We debated the issue. We're proving once again we are the best in this business. Less interruption. I think we gave our audience Liberia's best. Let us close this thing. We almost at 2 hours, 30 minutes, which is way too long. I'm going to get in trouble with Dennis here for that, but I felt that we needed to exhaust the topics in the most substantive way, and we did. So that you take us home. Dennis will say, 58 seconds to close. Your closing, sir.
Well, thanks so much. I thought it was a very hearty, informative exchange. Thanks to the rest of the team. We think we did justice to the country and to the listening public in terms of helping to shape their perspective about ongoing developments back home. We pray that we continue to do this as best as we can. We ask for wisdom continuously to help us help our population back home and to help move Liberia forward. Thanks for the evening. Thanks for having me on. Gentlemen, thanks for the exchanges. And I look forward to our next round of conversations.
Thank you.
And talking about the next round, that will be tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and it's going to be live on the radio. Kia Radio, the people in Liberia will be hearing us starting 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Those who are coming, please be on time. Pastor Salif, Your 58 seconds closing, sir.
Thank you. I'm yet to make my debut on that 10 a.m. Saturday show. I'm planning for it to be there one of these days. My parting comment will be, listen, everyone born in Liberia is a Liberian citizen and is automatically qualified to run for the presidency. Most ability has all the rights, like every other Liberian, to run for the Liberian presidency. But it's just that he will have some uphill climbs. When it comes to that that press conference they did to pin the ministerial complex, listen, the government can do better than that. Stop trying to stiff the Liberian people. Stop trying to deceive the Liberian people. There are so many other things we want you to be transparent about. It's not just about transparency in painting the building, but even as that may be, if you want to do that, show us the transparency in who you award the contractor for the painting. But like Mohammed Sharif said earlier on, I think we can use the Army Corps of Engineers to do some of this work to save money. Right now, they're not engaged in battle. So keep them busy instead of just keeping them locked up in the barracks. Use them to do some of these services. And I mean, you can give them some things to help improve their lives in the barracks. So, I mean, it was a great show. One of the best shows I have had. At least I tried to win my brother over some degrees. I almost took it back. But honestly, I made some wrong decisions. Like that money I took from Musa Ability, Bill Jones. I shouldn't have done it. It was a poor decision that I made at the time. And if I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have done that. So, but that doesn't negate anything. I still remain who I am. My character is still intact. And the great thing about leadership is when they can admit to their fault, you know that person is a great leader.
ST, what did you think about Mills Jones' presidency before Muhammad comes through?
Mills Jones is already washed. He already missed his time. You see, politics is timing. Just
no,
like
then.
Oh, then. Oh, at
Yeah.
that time? Oh, no, I knew he wasn't going to do anything. He wasn't going. Musa was just using him to sell himself. He wasn't going to do anything. Yeah.
All right. Our political analyst gets the final word.
Thank you. So, great debate. Thank you, gentlemen. So one of the things that I want to conclude on is this sort of, politics that's been played over and over in Nimba County. The Nimbayans are going to the wells too many times. We do recognize that there are historical grievances, some of whom have not been addressed, and including these tribal antagonism that people like Prince Johnson and Samuel Koga, his protege now, is going to the well too many times already. We don't need to go to this well too many times. We need to be very careful with this. A civil war was fought for this. Liberians died for this. So there is no need to go to this well too many times. Prophet Key doesn't live in Liberia. He's in Morocco. And he lives there peacefully. Nobody bothers him. I don't think they ask for his citizenship. They don't ask for his tribe in Morocco because those people know better. But Key and others don't know better. The only thing they can go to, they have nothing to run on. The only thing they go to over and over again is tribalism. And, that is something that has divided us. I think good, decent Nimbayans should condemn this kind of politics. They should condemn the politics of misogyny and all these, ills in our society.
Comrade, thank you. You debated the issues, you did justice. And so I don't have much to say other than to play our song that says, we are indeed all Liberians, and let us remain Liberians. Any Liberian should be able to represent any county, let alone the tribe. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.
We are Liberians.